Hi, I'm Angeline. I think the concept of the twin flames is a very beautiful and healing construct, especially when taken from a very holistic perspective. Basically, the idea of the twin flame is that there was one soul before incarnation that split into two souls, and those two sides of the soul are seeking to learn all the lessons that need to be learned so that they can reunite and become one again and raise the vibration of humanity. It's a wonderful idea. I prefer to look at it in a little bit more of an holistic perspective because taking into consideration how nature works, for example, carbon dioxide, we exhale carbon dioxide, which the trees inhale, and then they exhale the oxygen that we need to breathe, and it kind of works in this infinity cycle. And because that is essentially how all of nature works, there's nothing wasted, everything is used, but just, everything flows. That's how I look at any idea of incarnation or anything that happens in the natural world. So if I think that if a soul chooses to incarnate, or even, let's not even call it that, because I think that the experience of this consciousness that's me, or this consciousness that's you, is one expression of something that is whole. So it's almost, like an octopus. Each of those arms is not a separate entity, or an aspen grove looks like a whole forest of trees, but actually it's one entity, but each one of those trees is a part of the same plant and having its own experience based on where it is in proximity to the other trees and to the light and to the heat and to the wind. It's adding to the experience of the one organism that is the aspen grove. So that's how I see each life, is one experience of a whole life, a whole organism that is all of humanity, that is all of creation, that is finding ways to feel and express itself so that the entire organism can learn and it become enlightened. So that's how I see this aspect of the twin flame as well. I see it as I, for example, am one expression of the wholeness of creation, and there are certain aspects of my experience that I am not as proficient in, that there are some extreme lessons that are different from how I come into the world and my point of view, that I can learn from another expression of creation, another person that rounds me out. Of course, we learn from everybody around us and from every interaction we have with each person around us, but there can be, we can come in contact with certain people that we can call twin flames, which embody our exact opposite, our yang to our yin. And those people can trigger in us an exposure to a life experience that absolutely complements our experience. And if we learn from that person in a spiritually enlightened way, our expression of life becomes whole, becomes enriched, becomes rounded out. And that's why they say that the twins it's such a, not contentious, but it's such a challenging path, because you're trying to learn the lessons of something that triggers you as hard as possible. And that can cause these two people who are trying to learn from each other a lot of conflict. But it's such a beautiful conflict, because it's the breathing out the carbon dioxide and the trees breathing out the oxygen over and over. This is what happens with the twin flames. And a lot of people think that they take it from a darker perspective, and they want to make it about the twins being two people who are in conflict, who can find a way to work it out and coming into union, and that being the perfection. And although that can be, I am in the camp that thinks that that could only happen if the two separate flames were to become whole as each other. This one having this experience, this one having this experience, but this one learning to have this experience, and this one learning to have this experience, and then they are unified. Each one is whole. If they were to then come together, it'd be like explosion, because you have these two absolutely spiritually whole individuals coming together and knowing it. And then, who knows what can happen. That's when really good work can go forward together. These two can move forward together in an enlightened way, and would certainly enhance and enlighten humanity. So I'm doing the twin flame readings, and I'm doing them from the perspective of that each of us contains a divine masculine and a divine feminine, and that we are trying within ourselves to learn the lessons of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within this one creation. The readings can be read as you and another person, you being a feminine, the other person being a masculine, or vice versa. And the reading can be done as real people. But I'm intending it, and I think you get the most out of it if you read it as being two sides of yourself. Now, if you're reading it as two sides of yourself, you'll probably also see in it people who have come into your experience, because we're always seeking our opposite to round us out. And so if you're having a high vibrational experience in life, you will come across these divine counterparts in actual people. But it comes from the fact that you're having this experience already in yourself. I hope that this helps bring a little clarity to this. I hope that these readings will find you in good stead, and that you can take something out of them that, brings you some growth and, inspiration.